Hello, welcome back, Recapped Mystery here. Today, I'm going to explain a British psychological thriller film, Exam. Watch out and take care. At the start of the film, 8 candidates are shown preparing for a hiring interview for a lucrative corporate job. Some candidates stimulate themselves with encouraging comments, while others freshen up their appearances before entering the examination hall. The room is dimly lit, with desks for each candidate evenly spaced throughout. It also contains cameras to track their movements. After the 8 candidates have been seated, a security with a rifle enters the room, clearly making the applicants apprehensive. He is followed by a man who does not introduce himself and instead merely identifies himself as the invigilator. He then apologizes to them for the difficulties they have encountered in getting to this room, stating that the candidates have completed all prior hiring stages and are the finalists. They will receive the jobs of their dreams if they pass this final test. The invigilator asserts that no federal law applies within the examination hall and that applicants are only supposed to observe the law of the exam as the rule of the test. They are not permitted to converse with either the guard or the invigilator. Similarly, if they purposefully or unintentionally damage the paper or leave the room for whatever reason, they will be disqualified. The candidate will get 80 minutes to finish the exam. There is only one question on the paper in front of them that they must answer. The invigilator then asks whether they have any further queries. When no one responds, he wishes them luck, starts the countdown, and exits. When the contestants turn their sheets around, they discover that they are absolutely blank. They all stare at each other, puzzled. They become increasingly worried as time goes. As a result, candidate number 2 begins writing on her paper why she believes she is qualified for the position. The camera in the room zooms in on her paper, and the guard orders her to be thrown out because she ruined her paper. As the guard closes the doors behind her, number 2 pleads for another opportunity. After a while, number 5 realizes that the rule says they can't talk to the invigilator or the guard, therefore they can talk to each other. He tells the others the same thing, leading them to believe that they will have to collaborate to figure out what the question is before they can locate the solution. The group discusses several strategies for passing the test, but they are all equally perplexed. Candidate number 1 does not talk at all during this. One man attempts to introduce himself, but number 5 advises they give each other pet names instead of revealing their genuine identities. He then names candidate number 1. He is deaf since he has not yet spoken. The boys are then given the names Brown, Black, and White based on their race, while the girls are given the names Blonde, Brunette, and Dark based on their hair color. Following that, White proposes they stand up from their chairs because there is no regulation that says they can't. He takes a chance and stands up. To everyone's delight, the guard remains still, allowing them to move around freely. Dark suspects that the queries are scribbled on paper with invisible ink or a watermark. They all agree to put the hypothesis to the test, but they don't know how. Dark then stands up and examines the paper with the lights in the room to see if anything is written on it, but nothing is evident. She still insists on everyone checking theirs because the problem could be in only one of them, except for Deaf, who remains silent in his seat. Everyone does what she instructs. White examines his manuscript in the light. When they don't receive any findings, Black suggests that the letters may be visible in UV or X-rays. The group then begins hunting for a switchboard to see if there is a way to turn on different types of lights. When they cannot find one, they begin to search for the source of such light on their own. Deaf provides no assistance and remains uneasily seated. Blonde discovers emergency light strips across the room. However, because there are no switches, the group must shatter all of the other light bulbs in order to create an emergency and activate the lights. Brown responds that they cannot take such a risk, so they vote on it and eventually decide to go ahead with the idea. After destroying all of the light bulbs in the room suddenly lights blue due to the emergency black light, except for Deaf. Everyone starts looking for the question in the paper, but they are once again dissatisfied since they cannot see the question. Brunette requests that everyone remove the first layer of the strip light because it isn't illuminated. This may cause UV rays to be produced, which may be beneficial to them. They shatter the strips and show another type of light by using the woman's heels. However, they are once again disappointed because these lights do not operate. The group now has only 60 minutes left. White, irritated, begs everyone to consider alternatives. As they brainstorm ideas, White notices that they can do whatever they want with number 2's work because she is already disqualified. As a result, people cluster around her desk and attempt to trace the paper with a pencil. Still, no question is raised. White then cuts her paper into sections so that they might experiment with other approaches. He next pees on one of the papers to determine whether it is liquid activated. That, however, does not function. Black and White have a furious conversation over what they should do next, but they halt when they hear Def wail. He sobs quietly in his seat, while the others laugh at him. The dude then begins to blabber in French. He asks if they can see anything in the paper and claims that it reflects their image. They dismiss his ramblings and return to their discussion of concepts. When Brown talks, everyone goes silent. He advances his own explanation, stating that they are not in an exam but rather in some type of betting show. The company's board members have placed bets on who would crack under pressure, and their presence is solely for their enjoyment. Dark believes that the board members have better things to do with their time, but Brown believes that money is the least of their problems. With the amount of money they have, the board members most likely live for the risks. Everyone is now contributing their own ideas. Some believe the invigilator is to blame, while others believe the CEO is to blame. Under strain, they begin to snap and insult each other. Brunette asserts firmly that no one is observing them because the CEO is involved in the business. He has complete control over the corporation and all of its assets. She clearly knows more about the company than anyone else. Brown inquires as to how she knows so much about the CEO. As it turns out, Brunette is already employed by the company in human resources, but she has never met the CEO. She applied for a better job and is currently here. White then explains that he was headhunted and hired. Others, though, claim that they applied for it. One thing they all have in common is that they know nothing about the company or what it does because they were ordered not to ask any questions. Brunette then adds that they are seeking for a position at Birog, a well-known multi-million-dollar pharmaceutical company. When a pandemic hit the world's youth a few years ago, they were the first to discover a treatment. Their annual revenue is now $20 billion, all thanks to their CEO. Suddenly, Black says that the corporation may have discovered a treatment for the latest deadly disease that has killed millions of people worldwide. Dark becomes fascinated and inquires further about it. White is skeptical, so he asks Stark if she has been afflicted by the virus as well. Dark denies it and ignores the matter. To divert attention away from herself, she approaches the guard and pulls a lighter from his pocket without speaking to him. Then she notices the fire alarm. The group intends to use the lighter to activate the sprinkler because water may cause the words on the paper to fade. As a result of this, Dark climbs a chair but fails to reach the fire alarm. White assists her by handing her a rolled piece of paper, which she lights up and uses to set off the alarm. Water soon begins to fall, yet the documents remain unchanged. Suddenly, the guard approaches the group. Right then and there, Dark unfolds the paper in her hand, revealing that it is her own. White had betrayed her in order to level the playing field. The guard leads Dark away while calling White a liar. Following that, an irate Black threatens to punch out the white lights. The lights go out, and the gang assumes they are voice-activated. When Def starts crying again, they warn each other to be careful what they say. White stealthily sits in front of him and taunts the poor guy into shredding and eating his own paper. Def is approached by the guard, who sends him away as well. There are now just 5 contestants left. Black dismisses White as a bad person, but White says they should thank him for getting their competition out. He also claims to know the answer to the question but refuses to inform the others. Black strikes him out with a single punch in a fit of wrath. The group then binds him to a bench and uses a tie to cover his lips. White regains consciousness after some time. Brunette removes his gag and requests his medication, explaining that he, too, is sick with the virus and must take medication every hour in order to live. Black looks in his pocket for pills but doesn't find any. This leads the group to believe that White is simply inventing excuses in order for them to release him. White, on the other hand, claims that one of them has taken the pill and promises to tell them what the question is if they return it. He soon loses consciousness and begins to quiver. Some suspect he's lying, but Bauk claims he's having seizures as a result of the illness. They begin hunting for the medicine he mentioned but cannot find it in the room. They check each other for the pill with barely 15 minutes left on the timer. Brunette suspects Brown of taking it and is proven correct when the pill is discovered sticking to a chewing gum under his table. She attempts to feed it to White, but Brown tosses it into a vent. As the others struggle to get it out, a stressed-out brunette steps in front of the camera and requests that the invigilator help the man. She is disqualified, though, since she spoke to the invigilator. Blonde retrieves the pill with a bobby pin after she has left, saving White's life. In the process, she also unties him. When he recovers, everyone expects him to provide the solution he promised. White discloses that the candidates are the solutions. They've been looking for a question all along, but White believes there isn't one and that the one left in the end is the answer. The others trust him, but before they act, White dashes away from the guard to retrieve the rifle. Black pulls him aside and takes the rifle for himself. He aims it at White, who boldly declares that he will not shoot anyone. He strikes Black while also obtaining the gun. However, when he prepares to use it, he notices that the gun has fingerprint recognition. As a result, White employs the guard and points the gun towards the others. He warns everyone in the room to go on their own so he can win the post. Brown does not retaliate because he is afraid of being shot and walks out on purpose. A terrified blonde walks slowly outdoors, yelling "lights out" at the end. The chamber gets completely dark, causing White to shoot in random directions. When the lights come back on, Black is motionless on the floor, a bullet hole in his chest. White turns around and notices that Blonde still has one foot inside the room. He's going to shoot her as well when he discovers the timer has stopped. Now, White walks up to the camera and informs the invigilator that he has won the tournament. The guard approaches him and displays the time. White is surprised to learn that they still have 20 seconds left, which means he is disqualified for chatting to the invigilator. It is then discovered that Def had adjusted the time while they were talking about something else. Finally, the only one left is Blonde. She enters the room and takes up Def's spectacles, which had fallen while he was being carried out. Using those, she examines the paper and notices question 1 scribbled on it. Def enters the room, much to her astonishment, admitting that he is the CEO of the company and was in the test to keep an eye on everyone. Blonde approaches him and replies, "Number." The CEO and the invigilator both smile as she answers the question and passes the test. When the invigilator asked them if they had any questions at the start of the test, it turned out to be the only question they had to answer. The entire exam was designed to assess students' intelligence and attentiveness. Blonde is hired as the CEO's secretary, but she declines since she does not want to work for an organization that kills people. The invigilator shows that Black is not truly dead, and that the bullet that struck him is a capsule that repairs the wound after piercing the body. It is actually a miracle medicine that they have lately developed that can cure every sickness in the world. Blonde finally accepts the position, and the film concludes with her shaking hands with the CEO. The end. Please subscribe to assist the channel, turn on notification and leave a like. Thank you for taking the time to watch. See you again soon.